let's see what we got here today.
When you work with cash, we try to be as lenient as possible.
Alrighty.
You know what I mean? Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Have a good one. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Hey, everybody. Just let me know if you can hear me. I'm in my tower room today, so I wanted to get everything prepared. I was just having some problems with my stand for some reason. It didn't want to behave today. You know? Hey, Doreen, it's good to see you. Let me get my sage over here. I'm going to burn some sage and everything. How are you, Doreen? Let's see what we got. Alrighty, good. So I'm just smudging my place and getting everything organized today. I had a hard time getting myself together today because it's been really, really busy at the store. So I hope so far that the holiday season has been good for everybody. It's been a good day today, so I'm happy. Yeah, you are alive. You're alive. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I'm just cleansing my space over here today. And we have a good topic today. So we're going to be talking about ethics. Hi, Mary. Good to see you too, honey. So let me just get my space organized today. I had a really interesting conversation with, hey, do you all need some smudging? So there we go. And my cards. And let me smolder that out a little bit. So how's the holiday season been for everybody? Oh, hi, Rita. Rita, you didn't miss anything so far, okay? It's been a little crazy today. It was hard for me to get organized today because it's been so busy at the store. So I have my hubby watching the front right now. So today's topic is actually going to be about ethics, and it was really inspired by Mary Alice. Digital smudge. Okay, yeah, I got it. No digital smudge on this end, but I did the right thing today, and I got my candles going, so we're good. So she inspired me to do this, and it's about ethics, because she had mentioned ethics among readers, alrighty? So not just one, well, I shouldn't say it. No, the word is, it's not that it's just ethics, but it's ethics with readers, with other readers. So it's not just about the client base. So it was inspired. Sorry, my smudge keeps going. So if you need it, there we go. I just don't want to smudge everybody out and set off the fire detector. So, hi, Rain. Today's subject is about ethics, but it goes a little further than what we had mentioned before. And that has to do with reader to reader. And Mary Alice, if you by chance will get on this. Hi, Jean. It's good to see you there. I haven't seen you on in a bit. So the idea is when a reader does a reading for clients, what do they do with that information? Now, basically, the code is that you're quiet about those readings. You don't talk about it. And you certainly don't discuss those readings with other readers, or, as was mentioned, even being made fun of, which when I heard that was appalling. I've never done that. I've never made fun of another reader or another client to another smudge all the way to Florida. You got it. You got it, Jean. So I thought that was abhorrent. That really struck a nerve, because I can't understand gossiping about your readings to other readers. So yeah, I agree with you, Mary. And I was kind of blindsided by that, because I've been doing this for about 30 years, if not longer. Okay? If not longer, alrighty? And it surprised me to hear that people do that. And I guess it shouldn't, but it did. And I mean, I wanted to bring that out to all of you to see what you thought, or if you experienced any of that other. Yeah, okay, Terry, so you're getting what I'm talking about. And has anybody out there, I don't want to say victim because I don't like to use that word, but has anybody out there ever experienced anything like that? Because the person that told me said yes, and that she sees it all the time, and that really got me upset. It went to hear something like that, because when somebody comes to you as a reader, it's almost like going to a psychologist. And I'm not qualified. I am not a psychologist, but it's a safe place. Or why are mediums on TV? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes, Mary, that is very good. It should be treated like a patient and doctor confidentiality, or when you go to the confessional, or anything like that thing. Terry writes, I've seen disrespect on the part of the reader, but only with one person in all the time. Okay, which is good. One then is very good. What I was told was that it happens all the time. And the only thing that I can say is most people know that I put on a lot of events that require readers to be here. And maybe some of these people are a little afraid to say anything in front of me because they want, to come back to some of the events that I do. Never mention names, never tell mutual friends. Right, I agree. People who, on Rita writes, people who come for readings trust us, and we should respect that trust. And I totally agree with you. So if you go to other readers and you start gossiping about those readings, then that's an issue. Now, on the other hand, you've seen me talk about, well, I had an instance of where this happened, and the reason why I did that was to relay a lesson or a message. This happened to me, so I didn't know how to, give this information, or you get where I'm coming from. I'm using it as a lesson or a tool, but I do not ever gossip about another person or another person's reading. Again, like Jean and Rita, their readers, Jean has read for me. So with that in mind, I know that I can trust her. But if there was a lesson to be learned about that, well, I suppose that it's okay as long as my name is not used, or the information given was given in such a way that it doesn't come back at me and that person doesn't relate it to me. Most of the time I'm pretty transparent, but you get the idea. Especially if you're doing readings in regards to physical violence, domestic violence, illness, sickness, or very personal things. I'm blown away by the fact that anybody would gossip about such things. And I'm curious to see if anybody out there has experienced anything like that. Like Jean, have you ever experienced anything like that? Jean writes, exactly, you can teach about a situation in a generic way. See, I'm there with you, and that's kind of like the purpose of this show. So we're able to discuss these things. I was inspired by what was written in our tarot and divination forum, and then it gives me the fodder for this show. And that's why this show is actually built by you, not me. So you ask me the questions, I'll do the best I can. If I don't know something, I might refer to somebody who's watching, or bring in a guest and such. So you get the idea, so you're the one giving me what I need for the show here. So Rita writes, honestly, I've never heard another reader gossip about a client. How awesome is that? Now there may be, like I said, Rita, maybe people don't do that in front of me because I do these events, which you, as you know, and maybe they won't do that with me because they want to come back, or, I sponsor a festival, and so maybe they're on their best behavior. But I myself have never had this happen to me. So Terry writes, doesn't this speak to the path work most readers have done? I am naive to think that a reader has unpacked and examined themselves more than the average person. Would a more pedestrian reader, I'm just going to read the rest of it because it says see more, be less ethical? You know, Terry, you have a good point, but doesn't it make common sense that you don't do that anyway? No matter how, I mean, please disagree with me. I'm fine with that. Wouldn't it make kind of, sense that you just don't talk about another person's readings? Or gossip about that, whether they're naive or not. I don't know. I maybe that's my own personal ethics, and that's kind of mind blowing that somebody or some persons would do that. But from what this person told me, she said that it's almost commonplace, and I'm kind of shocked. So now Jean is saying that it's happened, but she shut it down, and it makes me uncomfortable. Well, Jean, that's because you're an ethical reader. You've been reading for a long time. Jean has a very lighthearted way of giving information. She's very good, very direct to the point. She has mediumship skills, and talented, just plain and simple. So Jean has read for me, and I know that whatever I've shared with her stays with Jean, between her and the gods. That's how I look at it. And when you go to a reader or a medium, right, Doreen, you should expect that type of ethics. Terry writes, absolutely, it makes sense to be courteous and ethical with the folks you read for. And Terry, so hear me, I'm going to actually be a little bit more mundane at this point. Doesn't it make sense to be good to your customers so that they come back to you? You get where I'm coming from. It makes sense to me. Doreen writes, some people, though, do speak ill about other mediums. Yes, they do. Now, mediumship is a little bit different, but yes, you shouldn't be doing that, all right? Especially, I bet you that those people have had no experience with others. Now, I'll when people ask me about mediumship, okay, and there's a few people here that do that with me. You know what I mean? I read for them, and I do some mediumship work. When they come to me, it's totally confidential. And if a person asks me about another reader, the first thing I will say is my style is very different than a lot of other mediums, and as a result, since it doesn't work for me, I can't comment on theirs. So Doreen will back me up on this one, meaning I don't do big gallery shows. I don't know how that works for those mediums of people standing in front, because once I connect with a spirit or the energy of the person that I'm reading for, I'm intent on that, and if they want to speak to me, then I will relay the information. I don't know how that works in a group setting, because suppose people don't want to talk to me, or I'm picking up so many different people that unless they're saying, hey, I belong to this person, I don't know how that works. And bless the person that can do that. And so I'm not the expert to speak about that. So as a result, I don't talk about other mediums. I'll go, I don't know how that works. And that's great that it works for them. But if it doesn't work for me, I can't comment on that. So I'm being honest. You know what I mean? So now Jean writes, sometimes friends or family members want to know. Of course they do. Terry writes, once I had a reading at a party, get very personal, threw everyone out of the area for the client's privacy. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm doing a reading, this person needs privacy, it's personal, and I'll do the same for you, So that makes a lot of sense, and that's how that's working. It's interesting that we're talking about ethics during this time of the season, right? Because we have Yule, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Diwali, and I'm trying to think of all the others that are out there. And if you know of others, please just let me know. But all of them have to do with light and the season, and we're going to get into that because another person had written about the cards and the seasons, which was kind of interesting. So Rita, Doreen, you're making me blush. Okay, Rita writes, someone asked for a second opinion, what a medium told her, and I answered that it was her reading and I couldn't comment on it. Very good. Very, very good. Mary writes, the reader is a highly respected person in one's life, especially when we find one that we connect with. That's good. I like that one, hon. They are treasured. There's supposed to be a full moon. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thanks, Doreen. So you get the idea about it. So it's not anybody's place to blast another reader. It's not anybody's place to blast another medium. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jean. I think you're right. So with that in mind, do you give your opinions about other readers or other readings? Because I've had people come in and say, oh, I had this terrible reading and you won't believe what this one and this one said. What do you think about it? And I go, I wasn't there, but I'll tell you what my reading says. Even if it's totally opposite, I'm just going to say, this is my opinion. This is the way I'm interpreting the information. And you have to decide which works for you. I hope I'm making sense on that one, because I don't want to blast anybody. And in fact, the idea of this show is to get readers together, to get clients together, and readers and clients together. It's a whole networking thing. We want to learn from one another. Oh, and by the way, thank you to all of you who have subscribed on my YouTube show. So we're getting there. I think I'm at 263, but I need 1,000. So Terry writes, those folks, I wonder what they say about my reading for them. You're right. Right. Oh, thank you, Michael. So, you kind of get the idea about it. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I'm thankful that this question was posted to me. And that's the beauty of the tarot and divination form that is really built by all of you. Mary, with all of the things that you've been posting, it's been wonderful. So Mary writes, all right, Mary's, I'm putting you on the spot here. Is dream interpretation a part of divination? Is it divination? All righty. To me, it is. Some people might say it's a form of prophecy. Slightly more psychological, though I am a witch, so I'm going to allow that to come through. But when it comes to dreams, you understand that hey, Shireen, good to see you. When you're in regards to your dreams, I don't know why I'm stumbling. I think it's because I'm hungry and it's been a busy day. Your dreams are your subconscious, right? You don't have anything to block the information coming to you. When we're awake, we go, oh, that's all BS. Oh, you doubt your intuition. You doubt the messages being given to you. But in your dreams, it's not. All right? So think about that. Oh, nice to have you here, Cheryl. Really good. So please, any input is great. So we're talking about dream interpretation. All righty? Yeah, see, Jean is agreeing. She's saying it can be. So you have to decide when it comes to your dreams as to, is it a message coming to you? Is it your mind working out a situation? Because remember, in your dreams, you could do anything. If you want to get mad at somebody, you can. If you want to, pummel them, you can, because obviously you can't do that here. But you get the idea. Your dreams allow you to work things out that you normally can't do here. So I also believe that messages also come through your dreams, because you can't say this is all BS. It all comes to you. It's almost like you're a captive audience, and those messages come through. Now, whether it's a message in dealing with what you're dealing with at the moment, is it telling of the future? You have to decide that. I'm not going to tell you whether it is or it's not. But I find that when I dream and I remember them, I do not remember my dreams well. My theory on that is that because I'm in this world, or I'm in this realm constantly, I'm using my intuition a lot. And so I'm not doubting those messages, so my mind doesn't need to work that through as much. I find that when it comes to my dreams, it has to do with processing of my grief, or things that I want to say that I can't in real life. I have a temper, which nobody sees. I know that sounds crazy because I internalize a lot. And so in my dreams, I'm working a lot of that. Oh, really, Cheryl? That sounds, please, Cheryl. Cheryl writes, I did dream interpretation research in college. Please, 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 post your experiences. Rita writes, when I have a dream, it's real as real can be for me. And you're right, for you. So I suggest, and you've heard this over and over and over again, keeping a dream journal. Alrighty? Why? Because within a few minutes of you waking up with that dream, you're going to lose it. It just is what it is. Some people say, oh, I remember my dreams. Sure, there are certain parts of your dreams that you will always remember. Alrighty, but you won't remember all those little details because it's just the way your brain is wired. Mary writes, mine could be very spiritual. I talk to the dead in my dreams. Right, I do too. And I get a lot of messages. I'm thinking that's what you meant. I also suffer from night terrors due to PTSD, but I can tell the difference at this point. So, Mary, because of that, and you understand what's going on, that is part of your healing, and your dreams will allow you to work through that PTSD. So PTSD has hit me very differently than you, Mary, because I'm not having night terrors, though from time to time I have sleep paralysis. And I'm going to just touch on that just a brief second. So there was, I think it was, might have been last year or something. I suffer from, hate the word suffer too. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I also have osteoarthritis and a couple of other things going on, some neuralgia and all that, age related, but I'm born with rheumatoid. So what happens is when I'm in bed, I sometimes going to sleep will actually hurt more than standing up because when I'm moving, my muscles are going and it supports my joints more. But if I'm in the middle of the night and my husband is holding me super, super tight, it hurts. So I'll move away, alrighty? And that's just, he's just holding me because he loves me and all that. But I can't handle that, especially in my hips and stuff. So now he knows to hold me in the hip area or below, not above, not on my arms or my shoulders or anything because of my joints. But there was one time I had sleep paralysis and he was holding me very tight, and it's loving, but it hurt so much. But because I was in that sleep paralysis, I couldn't talk. So I was trying to make sounds, and I couldn't do it. And my mind was awake, and I'm yelling at my husband in my dream to wake up and move, and I couldn't. So I had to talk myself out. It's very dreamlike. That's the reason why I'm bringing this up. I had to talk myself out of the anxiety and try to work through the pain until my mind or my body allowed me to wake up, and then I was able to move. It felt like it was hours because I was in so much pain. I couldn't move and I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell. I couldn't do anything like that. But for all I know, it was 5 minutes. I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's the way our brains work with this. So sleep paralysis is a little bit different, but people have come to me with sleep paralysis with what they felt was prophetic dreams. Like they experienced something in that state. So you're like a captive audience. You're like a mummy, right? And you can't move, but yet you experienced something. Or they woke up in the middle of a solid dream and they woke up in sleep paralysis. So, hello, Kylie, and Sherry is on. And so I'm just going to go back just a little bit just to see. Now, and Mary, I'm going to throw this at you too. Could sleep paralysis be associated with astral projection? Just throwing it out. It's a thought. If you agree, that's great. If you don't agree, that's fine. Hey, Michelle. I see you there, the lovely Michelle. Think about those things because it doesn't matter what a book says. It matters what your personal experience, your Gnostic experiences, and what works for you. Alrighty, and I was able to steady my mind a little bit and say, okay, it's just a dream. I'm in sleep. In my mind, I was going, I am experiencing sleep paralysis. I can't wake up. I can't get my mind. My mind was absolutely awake, but my body would not move. Alrighty, was I astrally projecting? Because a lot of people will say that when you have sleep paralysis, You left your mind, you left your body, but when you came back, it wasn't complete. So that's another theory. So it's all part of that whole dream, nighttime messages coming to you and such. So decide what that may mean. Terry writes, so many symbols in dreams seem to come through as the simplest of puns. Yes, Terry. Terry, actually, if you would go on a little bit more, but I get it. Sometimes the littlest thing, like a P, will represent, it was actually in the Tarot and Divination forum today. A P can represent the cosmos, and you're a part of the cosmos. So, you know how your mind works, and, you can kind of take it that way. Jean, yes, I know that. You travel astrally, and I believe that I do too. But, Jean, is the sleep paralysis a part of that? So I want you to think about that and then answer me, because I'm giving you that job here. Cheryl writes, dream journals are very important. Writing down places, numbers, people. I totally agree with you. All righty. Hi, Tracy. Oh, I didn't see you snuck in there. So it's good to see you, Tracy. And Terry agrees. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Yes, right by your bed. And Sherry is on. And Kylie, you are there. So... Kylie writes, I've had it since high school, and I agree with AP. Okay, so you kind of get where I'm coming from. So Kylie, I'm directing this to you. So you're agreeing that sleep paralysis may be astral projection? Am I getting that? What is everybody else's opinion here? So I wanted to I was looking down at myself from a third person view. Right. Yeah. When I know I'm in astral projection, it's kind of like that. And I once did an exercise with a good friend of mine, and he and I, this is when I had my old store over at 296 Main. And David, I don't know if you're on, but we both agreed to go into astral projection at a certain time. We were focusing on that, and then we would write down our experiences. Well, our experiences were pretty amazing, because we kind of constructed an astral altar on the astral. Okay, so we had an altar on the astral. We agreed to meet there. Then there would be code words, and then we'd come back where we wanted to come back. Okay, so there is a reason for that. At the end of the exercise, and we both wrote down our notes, and we met each other for our next book club. We discussed that, and we both came back in the same place at the same time. I used to have, in my old store, I had a back room with a bookcase on it, and for some reason, we both came back there without discussing this ahead of time. So there was a connection being made, so it was a very good experiment. So you could try something like that. Mary writes, I think as a crone, we do this more often. Many years, I'm looking at this. Oh, astral travel and having a bad landing. So, Mary, you're thinking that when I experienced that sleep paralysis, it might have been a bad landing? I like the way she posted that. I thought that was pretty good. Jean writes, it might possibly be astral projection, but you are aware. Yeah, I was in my body. Yes, I was totally aware that I was in my body, and I actually felt the pain in my hip. And it was pretty bad, and was actually in my better hip. So, which is kind of odd, but I couldn't move out. I couldn't move. So what seemed forever, like I said, it could have been 2 minutes. I have no idea. But when you're a little panicky and you don't know what to do, but I still use that as a lesson. Because what is that? That's why I wanted to bring this out to everybody. What do you think it is? And then what are the lessons in regards to that? So I'm looking at this. So Thomas Collins. Now, Thomas Collins, you get teased on your name, Tom Collins. Have to add that. I know I'm being totally corny, but it's there. All right, so Thomas writes, astral projection and sleep paralysis go hand in hand for sure. More so when you're actually leaving your body. Excellent. Okay, so this, now, Thomas, have you also experienced this firsthand? Because I'd love to hear a person's personal experience on that, because we can share this. Because listen, we can read, I don't know if you can see that I have a lot of books and everything back here. We can read a lot of stuff on books. I have Jungian books, I have Freudian books here, I have books on tarot and all sorts of stuff here. But what is your own personal experience? You know, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be one size fits all. So I'm curious to hear your experiences here. So Sherry Ann, I never thought as dream paralysis as astral projection, and up until recently, Sherry, I'm in the same boat with you. And then again, you know, reliving or going over the experience, it kind of made sense. You know what I mean? Hi, baby. My husband's looking at me over there. So, you know, it kind of made sense. So I'm putting it all together, and that's why I wanted to see what everybody else has experienced. So Jean writes, when I travel astrally, I'm usually meeting with other people and having a whole long conversation. I don't feel like I'm stuck in my body. In fact, I have no body at all. Okay, so there was that freedom when you did, and when I did that exercise, that's how I felt. Alrighty, it was an odd experience, and that's why I wanted to put that out here. Because did I leave my body, and as Mary wrote, had a bad landing, and I didn't come back into my body fully, and that would probably mean that my chakras didn't align when I came back into my body. And that's just my own personal gnosis. But it would kind of make sense. So my upper chakras were awake. They were stimulated. They were like, hey, what's going on here? But it was almost, I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't move my legs. So basically, if we're talking about chakras, it's the crown, right? My third eye, my throat chakra, and maybe my heart chakra was going. But I couldn't move my arms. I was on my side, and I couldn't budge at all. So obviously, my lower chakras were not activated, and I couldn't move. So maybe, as Mary mentioned, it was a bad landing. I don't know, but that's the purpose of this show here, to discuss this. So you can see how sleep paralysis can be very, very scary. So Jean writes, it could be at the tail end of astral projection and coming back into your body. Yeah. Yep. And Sherry writes, I agree with the astral projection, as it is definitely with me outside my body. Yep. Cheryl writes, out-of-body experiences are very common with sleep paralysis. Thank you, Cheryl. That's what I needed, Eddie, because you have the academic experience with this. So I'm really curious. So there were a lot of studies done on this, Cheryl, because this information is really, really good. I don't experience it often. It's once in a while. I experienced it more as a child than I do here, but I feel like I'm in my safe place here, where when I was a kid, I didn't feel that. Yeah, I had a kind of a tough childhood. So here, in my home with my husband and everything, I have my little cocoon, my little place, and I feel comfort there. So I don't know if that has something to do with it as well. Shireen writes, I've also had that happen when I was sitting in my room watching TV. All of a sudden, I felt my spirit lifting up outside my body. So Shireen, it was involuntary. Now, is that common? You know, has that happened to a lot of people? Because it's not, I would say that I experienced that more as a child. By far, I used to dream about flying and being out of my body. As a child, I did that. In fact, it was easy. Here, I have to make a conscious effort to do that if I want to do that. And I can kind of do that through meditation and anchor myself. Like, in other words, I have an astral altar, you know, which I've worked on. We can talk about that in another show. But I kind of have a point where if I'm focusing on astral projection, I have a place to go to, and it's kind of like an anchor point. So that's what I do there. So let's look at this. So Cheryl writes, there were different types of out-of-body experiences. So Cheryl, if you're up to it, please post the different types, because I wasn't even 100% aware of that. But again, we're talking about that self-gnosis, and I'm trying to figure out what people have experienced and what kinds of experience they've had. So that's fantastic. So Sherry writes, I will think on this. When I have paralysis, it feels like a bad dream. Yeah, it does. I am definitely getting messages and watching something unfold. But I thought I was asleep watching Ruin. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it is. Maybe it's you're also sharing your brain working on something, trying to deal with a certain situation, and your dreams do that. But sleep paralysis is a little scary, and I actually just did a reading, so we're going to talk about this, with a young person who's very gifted, and she experiences sleep paralysis a couple of times a week. And that was a little flippy to me. She was almost nonchalant about it, but bless the courage of young people. You know what I mean? Because as I get older, this is not something I want to experience too often. I'm a bit of a control freak, and so I don't like being out of control. You know what I mean? With my body and those ideas and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's really interesting. We have some wonderful people here. I'm looking at this. So, Terry, I've read about and used the silver cord. Yes. But are there other ways to get back into your body and trust your will? So, Cheryl, is there a way for you to answer in on this? I don't want to say that I'm experienced, but when I've done astral projection, so Terry, this is only my own experience on this. When I go in to astral projection, and yes, there is the cord. Alrighty, and I've heard the silver cord, and I've heard the red cord. And don't even laugh on this, but it was one of the Stephen King books that they talked about the cord connecting the body and all this. I can't even think of what it was, though. He's pretty brilliant when it comes to that. But because we have an anchor, and my anchor will always be the altar up there, and being that I have sacred space, and I'm in my sacred space right now, that's always my anchor, if that makes sense. So I know that that's my safe word or my safe place. Again, that might be just a psychological thing, or I predispose myself to that thought ahead of time, and that kind of works for me. So Terry, I don't know if that works for you, but I'm looking to see if Cheryl will write a little bit more. Tracy writes, is there a way to prep the chakras to avoid a bad landing? Oh, fantastic questions. Now, Tracy, I've never had a bad landing when I prepared for it. So the sleep paralysis that I had that time ago was totally off the cuff. For some reason, my mind just woke up and I went there. Okay, so I'm not sure, because obviously only this part of my chakras was working, and my lower self was not. So I couldn't tell you. I would wish I could say, hey, I'm an expert on this, but I can only give you, what I experienced at that time. But Cheryl, boy, we're going to put you through the ringer, because you did some work on this. But I suppose, Tracy, that if before going to sleep, if you are getting yourself ready to do astral projection, that you do an opening of, the chakras, but make sure they're balanced. I don't think I would want to go into astral projection with one chakra being so far out of balance with the others. Like one of my teachers, Gavin Bone, Jana Farah and Gavin Bone, Gavin tells me that my third eye is so way out here that my other chakras are so small in comparison, and as a result, I'm not balanced. So I constantly have to work on that. So Tracy, maybe before you go into an astral projection session, you work on balancing your chakras before you go into a session, whether it's with somebody, a practitioner, or you doing it on your own or through meditation. And I suppose maybe that would help. Maybe also, see I'm saying maybes, maybe a good stone like hematite or pyrite that also has iron in it. Something along those lines may work. So maybe that would help. I don't know, Tracy. Have you had bad landings too? So I love that we already came up with the term for this. So Mary, that's all your fault there, Mary. So it's awesome. So Thomas writes, I was taking a nap on a tattoo chair when I was apprenticing because I was dead tired. I got the feeling of awareness and could see, but I could not move to it. Isn't that something? And that's in a tattoo parlor. I'm assuming a tattoo parlor. I've visited many over the many years. Wow. So you probably weren't even sleeping all that long either, you know? I wish I could sleep in a chair like that. I'm a lousy sleeper. But that's interesting because you probably were not sleeping for very long and then you went right into that. So was that a bad landing or a bad takeoff? Yeah, I had to add that one. That's really, Thomas, what do you think that was? You know what I mean? And was there a dream that happened before you woke up and you maybe remember that experience? I'm curious to find out what everybody writes here. So Cheryl writes, there are exercises, sleep, to learn to control your out-of-body experiences, sleep paralysis. And Cheryl writes, many. This is so fascinating. Cheryl, I'd love to contact you off list and privately so that maybe you could be a guest on the show and we can talk about that. Because I believe that even those experiences can be used for divination. And maybe we could talk about those exercises and such, because I think that would be fantastic. So Cheryl, let me know what you think about that. And if you feel comfortable with that, I'd love to be able to talk. You know, we have a lot of people on today. This is probably the most that we've had since we started the show. And that's pretty fascinating because it means that everybody's really up to it. And don't forget, next week, I would like to focus on the new year and what type of divination we can do for the new year. And I've been doing, shorter readings on my YouTube channel too. So it should be fun. I'd love to be able to read for one another, to be honest with you, on the show next week. We'll see if we can figure that out and see what we can do on there. Okay. Do you, Kylie writes, Kyle, do you think that if sleep paralysis happens so often, like every night, it would damage our chakras, which could lead to damaging us psychologically? You know something? You make a valid point, because there is, with some people, like it happened to me because I felt pain, it was terrifying. So imagine if you had to deal with that often, or you dealt with it every night and it was terrifying every night. You get what I'm saying? So Kyle, that makes sense to me. So if you had to live in fear all the time, it would damage you psychologically. Again, my opinion, but I would imagine that the way to deal with that then, Kyle, is to talk about it the way we are now, because you got to remember, what we talk about and experience here, we process in our mind, so our subconscious can then work it through. So maybe the more that we talk, and now Cheryl mentioned, exercises as well, but I think the more we talk about it, the better that would be, because if your brain is overactive and it kicks in, that's going to happen. So I'm going to say, in my opinion, if it happens that often and you're always in fear, that means you're not going to want to sleep. Or you're going to have abbreviated sleep because, oh my God, this is going to happen again. And it was a little bit like that after that episode for me. I was afraid. I didn't know, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was almost afraid to go to sleep, but I had to talk myself out of it, and whether or not it helps or not, I told my husband, hold me in a different area. If you could possibly do that, hold me in a different area so I don't feel confined and I don't feel, pain. So whether or not that's actual or it's just a psychological tool that helped me, it still helped. So I haven't had that episode since. So it would make sense to me, hon. It really would. Jean writes, all I know that when I'm astrally projecting and I wake up, I feel like I ran a marathon all night long. Yes, that makes sense. Hello, Deanna. Nice to have you here. Kundalini Crisis. Ooh, I do the silver cord exercise. So, Mary, if you want to elaborate just a little bit more on that. I can't get over how fast this is all going here. There's a lot of information coming out. And Tina writes, when I have sleep paralysis and I have a bad dream, I make a certain sound in my dream and I wind up doing the same sound in my body. And the artist, and Art heard that a few times, and I've been able to get myself, let me just look at, there's a lot here. And I've been able to get myself out of the dream and the paralysis by doing that. What do you think that is? You know something, Tina? That's really, really cool. So in other words, you let Art know that you might be experiencing this and you want him to be aware of that. I hope I'm interpreting what you were saying in regards to this, because that's pretty cool. It's like what I told Tommy. So if I'm starting to jerk or I'm trying to make sounds, he'll be aware of it and wake me up, which is what I want him to do. I don't care if he thinks I'm in a deep sleep, but if I'm making noises like that, that means, again, if it's psychological, what the heck, regardless, it's still a tool that works. So, Tina, that's pretty awesome. And it's not unlike what I do here. Again, it doesn't happen to me often, but when it does, it's kind of messes with your mind, doesn't it? Hello, Brandy. Nice to see you. Cheryl writes, some people can do this naturally, spiritually connected to the universe. Some people who have negative energy, somehow that attaches to them. Okay, before I say anything, what attaches to them? Are you talking about negative energy? My candle blew out, I guess, because I was talking into it. Are we talking about negative energy, Cheryl, or what attaches them? Spirit? I don't want to elaborate. It's your response here. Sherry Ann writes, exactly. Hate the feeling of not being in control. Yep. I'm right there with you, Sherry. Cheryl, it takes a lot of concentration and focus. So, Cheryl, do you do this often? Do you practice these exercises often? I'd love to just hear what everybody's doing here. Terry writes, yes, often astral projection is spontaneous. So prep can maybe be a part of our usual stuff to do regardless. Excellent, Terry. Mary, great books on that. Yeah, a hematite. Yeah, I was gonna. Oh well, Tina, I know you can't touch hematite. So Tina is Fae, so she doesn't touch any hematite. But Tina, for you, maybe like a black tourmaline would work really nice, or even a red stone, something that is very root. Your root chakra, but something grounding like even smoky. Smoky topaz or smoky quartz would help. My favorite stone is labradorite, right? And I know a lot of people that can't touch it. I love it. I could bathe in it. I can have a bathtub made in it. I absolutely adore that stone. But there's a lot of people that can't touch it because they say spiritually it's too much energy and they can't control that. Terry, I'm thinking back in the ago. Okay, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Much more active. We were working on astral altars for a while. There in dreams projection. Oh, very vivid. Now you write 00000 stones. Okay, so no stones, or are you saying many stones? All right. Okay, look at everybody. I was asking for a friend, but like you, I used to fly at night all the time when I was a child, but not anymore. Yep. It was easy. So, Jean, you're right. Put iron under the bed. Yeah, but now, Jean, I'm going to throw that at you because people who are Fae or sensitive to iron can't do that. So, hematite, pyrite, those things, lapis lazuli because it has pyrite in there. What would you suggest if they can't use iron? So, Jean, this one's on you. What would you suggest in there? Psychic sleep. Could have been in what's called half asleep and half awake world. Yes. Cheryl, that's awesome. I totally appreciate that. I just Googled exercises for astral projections. Long list. Yeah, and it would be. That's why the beauty of this show is we're just finding out what works for everybody. What works for you, what works for Jean, what works for Tracy, what works for Tina, what works for you, as opposed to maybe the books. Because, again, at least we can talk to one another and see what works. Sleep with a photograph of a loved one in order to help locate the missing person or an object. Yeah, you know something, Mary? I did that once a long time ago. It got to be 10 years ago, where I was asked to locate a missing child. So the picture of the child was posted, and the next day I gave my opinion as to where that child was. And I'm patting myself on the back. The child was found safe. Alrighty, and I'm really happy with that. And the person who asked me to do this gave me a picture that they sent to me on Facebook. So I was able to focus on that picture and take it from there. Alrighty. There's something, Jean writes, there's something called spontaneous Kundalini rising that can also be dangerous. So, Jean, you might even want to elaborate on that one, because that could be a whole other show in what we've got going on here. So, Thomas writes, yes, there were 7 ink cups with the 7 chakra colors on a Mayo stand in a parlor. That was a dream, but highly vivid. I'm not understanding. It says THEAT. I don't know if it means heat. Felt like I was aware and tried to get up. Hard to describe on here. Okay. It'll be Thomas. We can really get into that because that's a lot here. But I suggest looking at what Thomas is writing here. I sleep with several charms and magic squares. Very nice. Mary, that's really, really awesome. I'm just looking at the time because I'd like to do a 3-card reading before next week. And next week will be our New Year's show. So this is fascinating. I know we can go on with this for a long time. But let's go into the reading. This is our Christmas, Yule, Kwanzaa, Diwali show. Right? There's a Hanukkah show. There's a lot of different things going on here. And some scientists believe, wow, there's a lot of great information here. I don't think I can keep up with all of this. Scientists believe, you're right, protecting yourself. You know something? Oh, Rain, what happens with hematite? Hematite is a very protecting stone. It's very grounding. Before we go to the reading, I don't want to lose that train of thought. And so hematite keeps you grounded when you're dealing with a lot of issues and you feel like you're all up in your head. Hematite's a great stone to carry with you, as well as pyrite. Even a piece of iron works. When I was in Ireland, we brought back river stone or river rock that had pyrite in it, which is really, really, really cool. Why not root herbs? You know something, Mary Alice, that is really very cool. So you could put the herbs in a pouch and then put them under your bed. Nice one, Mary Alice. I like that. Hello, Larry. We have some. Oh my gosh! I hope I can keep up with all of this. Okay. Alrighty. So, I'm Pat. Oh, I can't keep up. Bernadette or anyone here? Fantastic. Facebook. Yes. Okay. Now I'm going to get to the readings for the week. I'm really wishing everybody a fantastic holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate. Alrighty. Me and my family, we celebrated Christmas, we celebrate Yule, we celebrate Hanukkah. So we celebrated almost everything. And I celebrate all of you. Alrighty. Enjoy one another. Love one another. Do good for one another. We started this show with ethics. So think about what we discussed here. All right, when it comes to ethics. It's not cool to make fun of anybody. It's not cool to discuss other people's readings and gossip about it and then, give those names out. It's not. Okay, so you don't like it, oh well. But it's not a cool thing to do. It's okay to talk about the lessons learned from these readings because I learned something new every single day. Alrighty, and I learned an awful lot by today's show. So love you too, sweetie. So it's important. Alrighty, do the best you can for one another. May the holidays be fantastic for you. Okay, let me do the 3-card reading and see what we've got from the week from now until New Year's. And my thought was next week I'd have some fun, whether it be here or on the YouTube channel, to do New Year's readings for one another. So we'll see where we're going from that. And if you could, well, let me start with this. So from now until next Monday, I'm going to do a 3-card reading. Okay, you ready for this? It's just general advice from now until next week. All righty? You ready for this? All right, so I'm just pulling the cards now. So, first card, 3 of Pentacles. And forgive me, I'm doing this on my phone today. 3 of Pentacles, which I always look at as a resolution of some sort. The Lovers card, which has actually come up before in our readings. The Lovers. See what we got here. So I'm just this is the 8 of Pentacles. So I look at the 3 of Pentacles. Pentacles, as you know, usually means money and or the elements of earth. So that kind of ties into the hematite. We're talking about grounding and all that other stuff. So we have a person who's a craftsman or lower class, and then we have a middle class person, then we have an upper class person, and they're all under the pentacles here, or this little archway. So they're all coming together, in the spirit of resolution and the coming together for a thought and an idea. Okay, so I like that. You too, Rain, you're awesome. And now we have the Love card. Now, we are talking about advice, alrighty? So if in your mind, busy week, Terry. In your mind, if you were talking about love, then that's a possibility. But in my mind, since it's advice for the week to come, it also means coming together. Because if you're not talking about love, then the Lovers card has to do with partnership, reciprocal relationships that work for one another. So we had resolution, and then the idea of coming together as, if it's not lovers, as partners. And now look what we got, working towards those goals. So again, Pentacles is money, and you can see this person is sitting here making that money, but he looks a little bored too. So don't just stay focused on making the money. Maybe we're not talking about money. Maybe we're talking about an earthy aspect of something that needs to be completed in the spirit of resolution and the coming together of ideas. In other words, if you don't do it my way, then we're not doing it at all. But maybe you have an idea and there's a way to find a middle ground between all of this and make it happen. Alrighty? So take a little bit of that advice here, throwing that out to all of you. And that makes a lot of sense to me because I know I work too hard. I work too many hours and stuff. And my mind doesn't rest. All work and no play. Yeah. But the first 2 cards before that work card means the coming together of ideas and finding a balance. Because remember, it's 2 people here, is balance. We are talking about getting along with our relatives is going to take some work. I got it. And that could absolutely mean that. So it is going to be a lot of work. And Pentacles, usually means work anyway. So a person, if they're a very earthy person, it has to do with work anyway. So keep that in mind because 2 out of the 3 were Pentacles. Alrighty, but we have one major arcana in the center. And you know that the majors rule the more important things. So it means get along. Put your ideas together and get along. Find a partnership somewhere. Alrighty. So that's my 3-card reading for the week. I will be doing some work on YouTube this week, so I hope you join me over there. I'll be doing some readings and stuff. I'm really trying to build my presence over there. So if you do and you're on YouTube, I would appreciate it. If you go there, look for Bernadette Montana and hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell over there. And the reason why I ask that is now there's a new rule where you can't do shows on your mobile devices unless you have 1,000 people. So I need to get the subscription level up till that level so that I can do off the cuff shows. You're very thank you Terry. You get what I'm saying on this. So I'm trying to make these social platforms work. I will be doing more readings on there. And thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. So it really means a lot. And if you would share that around, that would really help. I'm still trying to figure out all of this, Instagram and Twitch and all these other things. So if you have suggestions, please let me know. All right, my brain is already, spinning with all of this. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I will see you just before the regular New Year. My New Year's is actually Samhain. But I'll see you for next Monday, and post your comments and thoughts, and I will try to get to everything. Mary Yule was wonderful. It was really cool. Thank you, Tracy. You're all going to be making my head's going to explode, and I can't get out of the door. So have a wonderful time. Be good to one another. Be careful about drinking and driving. Yeah, I'm going to sound like a mom, but please don't do this. And, take care of one another. See you next week, Rita. Yes, I agree. So be well, everybody. I hope everybody's healthy. Watch after one another. And remember what this advice was. Resolution. Getting along with one another, regardless if you have to work at it or not. Many blessings, everybody. Bye-bye.